Welcome, everybody, to Hollywood's favorite night at the movies, the reserved seating Oscar special. I'm your host, Adam Risky, along with my co-host, JB and Rob. And tonight we are going to take you through not that Oscar fancy schmancy broadcast that you'll see next weekend. No, we're going to tell you shamelessly ripping off Siskel and Ebert's If We Pick the Winners, because we are picking who we think deserve to win in the top 6 Oscar categories. And big year, 10 nominees for Best Picture. First time ever that there were a full slate of 10 nominees. Mm-hmm. I saw them all, caught up with them. Great movies. Had a few thoughts. Guillermo del Toro was back in the Oscar fray with his remake of Nightmare Alley, or as we called it in the Midwest, Kirstie Alley. The most nominations this year was The Power of the Dog. One of those was Best Adapted Screenplay. I don't know if it deserved that. I didn't like the part near the end where Benedict Cumberbatch turned to camera and said, "Doctor, I feel strange." So Drive My Car, I just watched that yesterday. Wow, 3-hour meditation on grief. Awesome nomination. It's especially a really good nomination if you just turned 16. This is your first Japanese film and you said to your friends last Friday, they're just like us, we drive cars too. West Side Story, Steven Spielberg's remake of the Best Picture winning film from 1960. I don't know. I felt like I'd seen it before. This isn't the first Spielberg movie where a white guy tried to blow up the sharks. Belfast, tons of nominations. I called it hashtag my childhood. I also called it hashtag chitty shitty awards bait. Or Unpleasantville, because doesn't Kenneth Branagh know that by 1968 the world was in color? Don't Look Up. Ironically, if you do look up sanctimonious in a dictionary, you'll see the poster for Don't Look Up. Dune, a movie that teaches our young artists to turn in half a paper and expect the awards to roll in. King Richard, which features a powerful scene in the middle where we learn Richard has an entire separate family he never told his current wife about. Maybe they should have called this The Lion King. Licorice Pizza, finally, a movie that 10-year-olds can show to their babysitter that they're crushing on and pray they read between the lines. And Coda, a movie that was foretold for Oscar glory all the way back to 1954 when Marlon Brando lamented to Rod Steiger that Coda been a contender. And on to our show.
All right, what do we start with?
Best Supporting Actor. So, Rob, do you want to give us the nominees for that?
Best Supporting Actor in a supporting role. All right, Ciarán Hinds for Belfast. Troy Kotsur for Coda. Jesse Plemons for The Power of the Dog. J.K. Simmons for Being the Ricardos, and Cody Smith-McPhee for The Power of the Dog. John, who did you go with?
This was one of the most difficult categories, I thought, because as much as I enjoyed J.K. Simmons' work in Being the Ricardos, it was one of the things in that movie that was entertaining in that he neither looks nor sounds like William Demarest, and yet he channels the spirit of the actor and Fred Mertz. And I applaud that. If I pick the Oscars, for this one, I would pick Troy Kotsur because I found his performance honestly moving in Coda. I had big problems with other parts of Coda, but I found his performance very moving, and also I felt that he was showing me something I haven't seen in 10 other movies. I thought it was unique. Take that in whatever spirit that you want. I thought he was a high point of a film that I'm still scratching my head that it got nominated, because it seems to me to be a very, very good movie of the week from when I was growing up.
I'm going to go with Cody Smith-McPhee in The Power of the Dog. I think the second time I watched that movie, I drew a lot more from his performance the second time. Now, once I understood the subtext and once I understood what was actually happening in that movie, he plays the subtleties of those moments, not to spoil the movie for anybody, more than I really thought he did. So it's not a choice I would have conventionally made, just because my inner contrarian just doesn't want to do that. But I think I'm going to go with Cody in this one.
So I have kind of a thing where each year, whenever there's a category where there's people who have won Oscars before, unless it's some kind of a standout performance, I tend to want to spread the wealth and give it to somebody who hasn't won. So for me, it came down to Troy Kotsur, who I think gives the best performance of the 5 in the category, or Kieran Hines, who, if I were doing the Lifetime Achievement Award, I would give it to Kieran Hines because I like seeing him in everything that I've seen him in. So just for variety, I will go with Kieran Hines for Belfast, because I think he was the highlight of Belfast for me.
Actress in a supporting role.
Actress in a supporting role.
Correct.
And the nominees are Jessica Chastain and her makeup crew for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Olivia Colman in The Law. The nominees for actress in a supporting role, we have Jessie Buckley from The Lost Daughter, we have Ariana DeBose from West Side Story, we have Judi Dench in Belfast, we have Kirsten Dunst in The Power of the Dog, and we have Anjanou Ellis from King Richard.
Anjanou Ellis, I think, has one really terrific scene in King Richard, but her part's not big enough for an Oscar. So for me, it came down to Ariana DeBose and Kirsten Dunst. Ariana DeBose is really good in West Side Story. I think everybody's really good in West Side Story for the most part, with the exception of maybe Ansel Elgort. And she sings, she dances, she's a great actress. However, this is the first time I have the opportunity to give an Oscar to Kirsten Dunst, and she's been one of my favorite actresses since 1994, and I think I want to give her a career achievement award of sorts, because she's been so good for so long, and I think she's solid in Power of the Dog, even though I don't think maybe the performance is as good as DeBose in West Side Story, but sentimental reasons, I'll give it to Kirsten Dunst.
I think that Kirsten Dunst is, again, almost in a similar way to what we discussed before, kind of in a she's not in a different movie in a bad way. She's in a movie on her own while the other movie is going on around her. And I just keep thinking of the piano scene in Power of the Dog, where she's playing the piano and Benedict Cumberbatch is sort of taunting her. And it's a really moving scene. And for somebody as dynamic and interesting and sort of exuberant as Kirsten Dunst has always been, one of the reasons why we love her, she plays a sad drunk in that movie, and she's really good at it. I think she's excellent in that film. So I'm also going to give it to Kirsten Dunst.
For supporting actress, though, I have to give it to Ariana DeBose. She's brilliant in the film, and she has the added hurdle of appearing in a role that everyone on earth has already seen someone win an Academy Award for, in the movie where that actress also conveniently appears.
Yeah.
She's terrific. She's the real deal, and I thought she was so entertaining. I thought she deserved it.
So next is Best Actor.
Best.
The nominees are Javier Bardem for Being the Ricardos, Benedict Cumberbatch, The Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield, Tick, Tick, Boom, Will Smith for King Richard, and Denzel Washington for The Tragedy of Macbeth.
So for me, it comes down to Will or Denzel. Will is clearly showing me in King Richard that he wants to just act. He's like, I'm acting, look at me act. Like, I am doing my best to act, and that's great, and I support Will in that. But Denzel in The Tragedy of Macbeth makes me just feel like it's just flowing off of him. It's just natural. It's just naturalistic, and it just comes out. It does not feel like homework. It does not feel like work at all. So for me, it's going to be Denzel Washington in The Tragedy of Macbeth.
Denzel's performance in Macbeth is astounding. and makes me wonder why Frances McDormand didn't get nominated for the same film, because if anything, her performance is even better than
Even
his.
better. Well,
I channeled my limited Oscar knowledge, and I remember that one year Barbra Streisand tied with Catherine
Hepburn?
Catherine Line in Winter.
Oh,
Katharine Hepburn.
Hepburn.
Catherine Hepburn and Barbra Streisand tied for the Oscar, and the only time an actor, not supporting, an actor has won for a horror film, Frederick March had to share it with Wallace Beery because it was a tie. So if you really want to cause some Oscar buzz, here's what they should do. I'm calling a three-way tie for the first time in Oscar history.
Wow.
And I'm also channeling the spirit of Erica Bromley. Will Smith, Benedict Cumberbatch, and Denzel Washington tie for the Oscar, and all three of them go up to the stage at the same time and share that limited amount of time to say their squad.
So for me, it came down to Will Smith or Benedict Cumberbatch. I kind of just am more of a Will Smith fan, and I think King Richard, he is giving a very good performance. And selfishly, I'm interested, once he's finally won an Oscar and not chasing an Oscar,
Yes.
where is his career going to go
What
now?
he does next. Yes.
Yeah.
If you're gonna play the game where the best actor Oscar is your earsat's Lifetime Achievement Award,
Mhm.
this is the year to give it to Smith.
Yeah. Okay. So Will Smith is my choice. Okay. So best actress. I'll read the nominees. Okay. So we have Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Olivia Colman for The Lost Daughter, Penelope Cruz for Parallel Mothers, Nicole Kidman for Being the Ricardos, and Kristen Stewart for Spencer. John, who would you choose for your best actress choice?
Of all those performances that you just named, I would give the Oscar to Kristen Stewart. Although I thought the film was odd, I thought her performance was very, very interesting and full of depth. Excuse me. That really gave me some insight into what it might be like to be trapped in that specific situation.
I love biopics that tell a story that's not, here's a story of their life in chronological order. I love the fact that Spencer is sort of a horror movie. It's sort of, The Shining. Like, it's like, I'm losing my mind on this weekend. I love that she's playing a very specific version of Diana. And we don't necessarily have to judge how closely a person approximates a person's accent or something like that. I think she's playing a character, and I think she's playing a really interesting character. I think that there's a lot of layers to her in that movie, where she's putting on a face for people at the diner in the beginning of the movie. She sort of does that sort of like demure, like, oh, hello, I'm Diana. Like, but then when she's with her kids, she's her most like naturalistic.
I was going to say, you won't find a better scene this year than the scene with her and the kids where they play that game.
You play the game, yeah, around the candles. It's beautiful. Yeah,
an amazing scene.
And I think she's really great. I will say my best actress of the year is Renata Rensev in the Worst Person in the World. But of the nominees that we're presented with here, I'm also going to go with Kristen Stewart. Go ahead.
In that spirit, my best actress is Alana Haim, but
yeah,
that ship also did not come into Oscar. So for me, it comes down to Kidman or Stewart. Kidman's won before, and Being the Ricardos, I don't think is. I made the joke to Patrick that, that meme where it's like no one, and then it says like so it says no one blank, and then Nicole Kidman : I'm playing Shirley Temple next. It's like, it's just like, I feel like that performance is a lot for her and not really for anyone else. And Kristen Stewart, I mean, like Spencer, I'm kind of mixed on. Like, I like 60% of that movie, and 40% I'm not crazy about. Kristen Stewart's performance, I go back and forth on. I've seen her be better in a lot of other things. But I think I want her to win because, unlike Chastain, who I think will get more chances at winning an Oscar, Kristen Stewart's career is idiosyncratic idiosyncratic enough where this might be the most mainstream awards type of choice that she'll ever do. So this might be her best shot of winning one.
Where's Kristen Stewart's nomination for Underwater? I'm not joking.
I'm not joking either.
I mean, she should have been nominated for Personal Shopper. She should have been nominated for Adventureland. I mean, she's terrific. So I just, as a fan, I would like to see her win. John, do you want to read the nominees for Best Director?
Yes, I have them right here on my phone. Allow me to call them up. Oh, there it is. Directing, the nominees are Kenneth Branagh for Belfast, Raisuke Hamaguchi for Drive My Car, Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza, Jane Campion for Power of the Dog, and Steven Spielberg for West Side Story.
Adam?
I don't know. My heart goes with either Spielberg or Paul Thomas Anderson. So Paul Thomas Anderson, I think, will win screenplay, and Licorice Pizza for me is a writer's movie and an actor's movie before a director's movie. So 100%. I'm gonna.
It's like Pulp Fiction. That's going to be his consolation prize.
100%.
Right. Yeah. So I will break my rule of not giving the award to somebody who's won it before, because I'll go with two-time winner Steven Spielberg for West Side Story, because I think it's his most joyful directing effort in a long time, which was great to see. And I think that he's been undervalued in recent years, because there's certain movies like Lincoln or Bridge of Spies where he makes it look so easy that I think he kind of gets taken for granted.
That's what I was literally about to say. Yep.
Yeah.
It's an extraordinary directing job, and I wish that little clip that went viral on the Twitter machine of the opening of the dance sequence,
One shot. Yeah.
where if you watch it, you really realize just how magnificent and complicated it is. I wish that, like Malcolm McDowell in Clockwork Orange, every Academy voter was strapped to a theater seat with the eye things and forced to watch that over and over. I like how Adam described it as a joyful film, which it is. And at the risk of sounding trite, Steven Spielberg just directs the shit out of that material. It's amazing. Every sequence, every shot. And it's not as if he hasn't had experience before doing musical-like stuff. I'm thinking of the opening sequence in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I think because it's so political, things have transpired in the last 2 weeks that make it seem more likely that he might get it. But again, I hope Spielberg gets the directing nod for West Side Story.
I'm also going to go with Steven Spielberg and West Side Story, and Jane Campion is very, very close to me. The thing I like most when I think about directing, directing is managing tone. Directing is when you think about the director's job, it's managing tone. It's tempering performances. It's finding a rhythm. It's giving actors an opportunity to sort of to express themselves and sort of, but also the orchestration. You're sort of hosting. Kevin Smith always says, like, you're sort of hosting the movie. You're kind of the one who's sort of in charge of kind of keeping everybody moving, all the plates spinning. And I think that Jane Campion directs the shit out of Power of the Dog in a very subtle way. But I would argue that the performances that we see in West Side Story are probably not what they are unless Spielberg is there to guide them in his wisdom and his experience. And so Spielberg edges it out for me just a bit, because that is much more of a director's film, more so than Power of the Dog. All right, are we ready?
The big award, Best Picture.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn to read the nominees.
The nominees for Best Picture of the year. I'm not going to read the names of all the producers.
Thank you.
Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, and West Side Story.
Me. All things being equal, if I had to give the Oscar this year and I could get over my crying jag that Pig wasn't even nominated for anything.
I think for all three of us, I don't want to speak for you, John, but I think there's a definite asterisk on this, which is there are movies that we would probably nominate outside of
Yeah. All things being equal, I would give it to Power of the Dog, which I liked very, very much for the reasons that I alluded to earlier in our little chat, that we go into it thinking it's going to be this, and we're very certain it's going to be this. And by the time the movie is over, that's not what this is at all. And that's not what this movie is about at all. And I give the film so much credit for doing that, because movies just don't do that anymore.
So, I mean, my favorite movie of the year was Licorice Pizza. And as much as I feel odd giving Best Picture to Licorice Pizza, I mean, I got to go with the movie that I thought was my favorite movie of the year. So, it's slight, but I mean, like, I think it's very rewatchable, and rewatchability is part of what makes a movie a classic. And I think that if you asked people 10 years from now, you know, which of these movies would you most want to watch now, then Licorice Pizza might be that choice. So I would go with that.
It's this guys, this category is bullshit. This category.
Again, I'm older than you two. I was going back to the year where films were nominated, like Network and Rocky.
Yeah. So I know in my heart that The Power of the Dog is probably the best movie on this list, and Licorice Pizza is, to quote Patrick, it's an exploding heart movie, no doubt about it. It is definitely a movie that I've only gotten a chance to see once so far. Power of the Dog I've watched twice. Licorice Pizza I've seen once. I would love to watch it again as soon as it's available to. Is it available to watch?
You can buy it digitally, but it's not on.
You can't rent
it's not
it.
on disc or rental.
I was really happy that I got to see that one in a movie theater this year.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest though. I've watched Dune like 5 times. I love Dune. I do, and I know it's not fair, and I know it's like it's half of a movie, and it's got it's got great source material to build on. But if I'm looking at this particular list, on which really not that many of my favorite movies of the year are on, I have to go with Dune. I have to. Like, I can't not. That's a movie that means more to me, edging out Licorice Pizza only because I haven't seen it a second time yet.
You're not alone. My wife was a really, really, really big fan of Dune.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting when you were just talking about it. I realized my problem with Dune, because I can very clearly go back to where I saw it, was Adam's problem with West Side Story, that I have the David Lynch version so firmly wood burned on my brain that I can't quite accept another interpretation.
All right, let's close with what we would have given Best Picture to, if it was not the nominees, but what's Best Picture for us? Adam, what's your Best Picture of the year?
I guess Licorice Pizza.
John, what's your Best Picture of the year?
Pig.
My Best Picture of the year is The Worst Person in the World. We will be back next week. Adam, what are we starting next week?
Nothing. We're just doing a spoiler review for The Batman.
We're going to talk about The Batman, a movie that I fucking love, and most other people are kind of lukewarm.
And I need to re-see.
I appreciated your review, Rob. That's what we used yesterday to be out of the house for 3.5 hours. And I was sort of dreading it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I think it's fucking great. Can't wait. Until next time.
I should have known I'd leave alone. Just goes to show that the blood you bleed is just the blood you owe. We were a pair, but I saw you there. Too much to bear. You were my life, but life is far away from